Hello, and what is going on, everybody? I am Master of the TDS, and I'm joined by my lovely wife,
WritingRaven.
And we're back for another episode of Psycho-Synopsis, the segment where we summarize all the Psycho for you. 3 topics from the past week, all summarized in one video for you to enjoy and consume at your leisure.
You're welcome. Now let's get into it. First on the list, you may enter.
Emperor, help me.
Are you all right, Shield Captain?
Far from it. This is worse than that time my brothers threw away their armor and oiled up their abs. I may not have had emotions, but I am deeply scarred.
If you tell me what it is, we might be able to help you.
The High Lords of Warhammer are putting us in skirts, frilly pink skirts with lace and bows. They want us to be females. I just want to get the flamer. The heavy flamer.
We don't have a flamer, but therapy is the next best thing. Right this way. I'll take you to the Master.
Burn away the heresy!
The addition of female Adeptus Custodes to the Warhammer 40k lore has sparked controversy amongst fans, with most criticizing it, questioning its implementation, and suggesting other factions for expansion.
Seriously, why would you do this?
Something to make clear is, I want to make this clear because this is going to be mostly my wife, because I'll be honest up front, I'm not that into Warhammer. I have some basic knowledge, but I'm not into it as much as my wife. But I want to make my stance on this clear. The problem with it for me is they're claiming that this has always been the case. And the problem with that is that it hasn't been. If you're going to make changes to the lore of something, that's fine. I may not agree with the change, but if you make it the change and you make an announcement and whatever, less people will be upset. Pretending that everybody's stupid and didn't know this until now, when it's clearly not the case, that's what bothers me the most.
Seriously. Not to mention that by putting a woman into a faction that has always been men, you're completely ignoring the Sisters of Battle and the Sisters of Silence, who are strong female characters in their own right. Are you too afraid to use them because they're actually feminine? It really, really bugs me.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well that if you dare to criticize the fact that they are making a change, pretending it's always been that way, they will block you. For example, my wife got blocked.
I did, and then you got blocked for asking why I got blocked.
I simply asked, like, hey, is there a reason you're blocking people? I mean, I thought that fandom was about different opinions, and we can have different ones and still be fans, whatever. Well, they didn't like that.
Whoever is running the Warhammer account on Twitter is clearly one of those people who should not be a community manager. They shouldn't have said there have always been female custodians to begin with. Because if there have been female custodians for the last 10,000 years, how come no one has noticed until now? How come there was never mentioned until now? And if you are making this change, why didn't you release a figurine with it, which is what you always do when you announce new stuff? Why just shoehorn it into a short story in the new Custodes Codex, thinking no one will notice?
It's worth mentioning that there is a rumor going around about the fact that this might be a change being pushed by Amazon for their Warhammer 40k series because they want a female in the male battle armor.
The more identified battle armor. Probably because Adeptus Sororitas and Sisters of Silence have boob armor on their power suits.
I believe, actually, now I'm remembering that the reason they didn't want to use them, from what I'm hearing, again, this is a rumor, is that they're too religious.
That's the Adeptus Sororitas. They are literally nuns with guns. That's literally how they're described. It's an actual order of nuns they're the military branch of the ecclesiarchy, the church of Warhammer 40k. So yeah, of course they're going to be religious. They're frickin' nuns. The Sisters of Silence are witch hunters too, and they're also extremely badass and hardly ever get utilized. Plus they have always been fighting alongside the Adeptus Custodes since the days of the Great Crusade that unified the galaxy under the Emperor of Man.
One thing also mentioned is that people are less upset about the changes to the lore and more upset that you're pretending it's always been that way.
Literally, you should see the memes about a quote from Warhammer saying everything is canon, and then people putting images of parodies that fans have made saying, okay, well then this is canon too. This is canon. This is canon. Like TTS and the furry crusade from Flash gets.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't want to know.
as I said, I think they shouldn't have done this. They should have just made the change in the lore and made an announcement that would have made a lot of things better.
It would have. Let men have their things and let women have theirs. You don't need to combine them. Okay, next is the doctor. But I don't see him here.
Oi, I'm not the doctor. I'm Shurikawa. Nice to meet you.
I've never heard of you. Why are you called the doctor?
Oh, I'm not the doctor. I'm RTD's diversity hire.
I see.
But don't worry, I'm here to save the universe with my unique dancing and twerking skills. That way we won't even need the doctor, who I am not.
Okay. I think I see what your problem is. Follow me, please. The master will see you now.
Shurigatwa, the new Doctor Who, is met with backlash and pressure as he takes on the iconic role, striving to honor the show's legacy while facing criticism and challenges.
What he's really doing is contradicting himself.
I think Shuri has the right energy to be the Doctor. The problem is he's not being the Doctor. He's being Shurigatwa. For example, here's a quote from an actual interview. That's what I'm going to put in the universe. I need the Doctor to have a big, fierce dance routine that, destroys a monster with twerking.
Ugh.
Or maybe some death drops, and that's what will drop the monster. That's not the Doctor. There is times where the Doctor is danced, but that's not the Doctor. That's you.
Ugh.
Don't be you. Be the Doctor. That's what your job is.
You're supposed to be an actor. You're not supposed to be playing yourself. Why twerking, though? What, just why?
I do want to clarify that he has said that he wants to honor the role, and I think that's a good thing to say, obviously. However, your statements otherwise are making that very hard to believe, because you're saying things like the twerking thing, and now you're saying things about how we need more diversity, and white people get things easy, and black people have it so hard. Stop. Doesn't matter what your feelings are, okay? I understand you're open to you can have your opinion on whatever you want. But when you are representing a brand and you know something you say might alienate people, probably shouldn't say it.
Seriously. Just play the role and then just follow the script. All you have to do is follow a script. Why do you have to add things to the script that don't need to be there? I can't stand it when people do this. Please give me the scripts. Give me the scripts so I can tear them apart and rewrite them completely.
Well, keep in mind, we have Russell T Davies is writing a lot of these scripts with help from other people. And we kind of had hope, I guess, for a little bit that things might change, but clearly they're not. And that's the problem. I have no problem with Shooty. I usually most say things on Twitter like Shurigatwa is Shurigatwa and David Tennant is the Doctor. And why I say that is because they literally have David Tennant still running around, and they have this person. It's like they made Shooty into Miles Morales. And I know people like Miles, and I'm sure people like Shooty. But why not let him have his own place to shine rather than have another Doctor running around that's always going to upstage him?
Yeah, because Miles Morales was Spider-Man when he was still in his own universe. When he was pulled into the same universe as Peter Parker, that is when you can no longer actually call him Spider-Man. You can't have two people named Spider-Man in the same universe running around in the same city.
Well, you can have two Spider-Men. I just think that Miles needs his identity, and I think that Shooty deserved his chance to give his own take on the Doctor, and I feel introducing him in the way that you did robbed that ability, and that's why I use that term. I know people on Twitter who get mad at me won't listen to this video and won't know this, but I've made it clear probably 5 times now.
They're not even going to get to this part of the video. They usually just judge our videos by the thumbnails.
Yeah. I just think, look, you don't have to make publicly or politically charged divisive statements. It's okay to have your opinion, but why can't you just say, I'm so honored to be in the role, I can't wait to show you what I've come up with? No, it has to be diversity, inclusion, all this stuff. We don't need that. Just do it and shush.
We don't need it and we don't care.
Yeah, I'm just tired, and that's why I don't watch this anymore.
Which is a shame, because it once was your favorite show.
And now I couldn't care less. Doesn't even matter. When David Tennant was brought back, it wasn't even enough to get me to tune in.
No.
And he was my favorite Doctor. So, yeah.
Okay, who's next?
Excuse me, is this the ramen shop? I was told there was a sale today.
No, this is a therapy office.
Therapy? Well, I suppose that wouldn't hurt.
Do you need therapy?
I don't know, but I've been having weird dreams about a live-action version of me being a hero in my place. And Genos was even more annoying than usual. Oh, and there were no grocery sales. And without sales, what did we even live for?
Huh. All right then. Follow me, please.
Rick and Morty co-creator Dan Harmon is writing the long-awaited live-action adaptation of One Punch Man, which has been in development for years and is now moving forward with Sony Pictures.
Who has long awaited this?
No one.
Yeah.
Live-action anime, you already have a red flag because there's not many of them that have done it very well.
If it's by Japan, it usually goes okay. The only one that really was good was One Piece, and that was literally just because Oda-sama was in charge of it.
I also will say that Alita Battle Angel was pretty good as well. But I don't get this obsession with Rick and Morty. I watched the first 4 seasons.
Well, we stopped after that weird feminist episode because that kind of killed it for us.
It just wasn't that interesting after a while, and I'm sure some people like it, and I'm not knocking on it, but we don't need Rick and Morty humor and everything. It's like, a good example is this. A lot of movies try to do the MCU humor now. We don't need that in every movie. It was made specifically for something, and it should remain there. We don't need it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not just Rick and Morty creator Dan Harmon, it's also...
Turns out Heather Ann Campbell is also attached to the project, someone who's a writer for Saturday Night Live. Another red flag when it comes to writers.
Are you, like, purposely hiring people who aren't going to be funny for a show that kind of prides itself on being funny?
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what they're doing because they always hire the people with no actual talent.
Pep. Genos, I turned myself into a ramen noodle. I'm Ramen Saitama.
Blech. Why can't I be put in charge of these? I would do such a better job.
Honey, literally anybody would do a better job, but these people don't care. And look, if this turns out to somehow be good, we will acknowledge that. We have never shied away from it. You can look back. We thought the One Piece was going to be a disaster.
And it turned out to be pretty good.
And we even did a review on it saying how much we enjoyed it.
Which nobody watched.
Because they don't watch these kinds of things, but our detractors will say, well, you hated One Piece. It'd be like, yeah, we did. I'll own it. But we're willing to own up to the fact if it's good. The problem is there's so many ones of these that are not good versus the ones that are good. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it needs to be adapted to live action. And just because something is made in live action doesn't mean people are going to watch it.
Why are you even making it into live action when we haven't even gotten season 3 yet?
Well, that's coming out, which I'm looking forward to. If you haven't already, I would suggest reading the manga or watching the show. It's very good.
Mm-hmm.
They did have a downgrade in quality of the second season, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was only because they switched animation studios. I didn't notice a difference.
I liked the show. I like the show. I think the character's interesting. I like the premise of the show. And I'm just not looking forward to this at all because I don't want to see this become destroyed. And honestly, that's what happens with these, except for the rare exceptions.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, and they still don't learn. Every single time, they're just consistently following Einstein's definition of stupidity, doing the same thing over and over and each time expecting a different result.
Guess what? If it failed 15 times, there's a better chance that it's going to fail versus do well. That's just how it is. I'm sorry if you don't like facts, but that's how it is. Saturday Night Live writer, Rick and Morty creator, live action anime, those are red flags already. Not interested. Goodbye.
Please just don't.
Okay, let's do this. Therapy. This way for the therapy.
And now it is time for the diagnosis of the week.
Where we diagnose the week with a mental illness.
Because someone has to.
And we have an interesting diagnosis for you this week.
Do tell.
So the diagnosis for this week is Machiavellianism.
Please explain.
So Machiavellianism is a personality trait characterized by manipulativeness, cunning, and a lack of morality. People with high levels of Machiavellianism often prioritize their own interests above ethical considerations and are willing to manipulate others to achieve their goals. This trait is named after the Renaissance diplomat and philosopher Niccolò Machiavelli, who is often associated with the idea that the ends justify the means.
In relation to today's topics, with Warhammer, the Warhammer team's actions, such as changing the lore and pretending that it's been that way all along, can be seen as Machiavellian as the team is manipulating the narrative to suit their own purposes.
With Doctor Who, fans may perceive the showrunners and Ncuti Gatwa as exhibiting Machiavellian behavior, particularly in how they handle the show's current, more progressive direction and diverse and inclusive casting decisions.
And with live-action One Punch Man, the choice to use Rick and Morty writers for the live-action adaptation, along with the push for every anime to be adapted into live-action, may be viewed as Machiavellian, prioritizing commercial gain over story and audience preferences.
We see this all the time. These people are so conceited and they need to be right. So what they will do is they will prioritize their interests and their messages over the messages of the fans. And then they'll go, but why didn't the fans watch? The fans didn't watch because you didn't cater to the fans. You catered to yourself. You made a show for yourself. And that's the problem. Stop making shows for yourself. Make shows for the fans. Oda made One Piece for the fans. Yeah, some people didn't like it, and there will always be that thing. But when you make something to cater to the fans, fans usually accept it. And Hollywood has yet to realize that, and that's why we continue to get this more me slop. And that's why I feel this is a great diagnosis for this week.
I completely agree.
That is all we have for this week. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and also make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe with notifications on so you do not miss your weekly therapy session.
Or you will be charged, so smash those buttons like they're bad kitties, and we'll see you in the next one. Gothic Therapy, out.